First contact distress. The celestial wanderer drifted silently through the void, its once pristine hull now scarred with plasma burns and debris impacts. Inside the wounded research vessel, Captain Neera Vashar studied the damage reports with all four of her violet eyes, her luminescent skin dimming with each new piece of bad news. Life support at 38% capacity, Captain, reported Chief Engineer Taz, his delicate fingers trembling as they glided across the holographic interface. Power core stability failing. We have maybe 18 hours before complete systems failure. Neera's antennae flattened against her skull, a gesture of deep concern among the Tylosians. What had begun as a routine scientific expedition into uncharted space had transformed into a nightmare. Their mission to study unusual gravitational anomalies at the edge of the Orion Spur had led them straight into the hunting grounds of something ancient and terrible. "Any response to our distress signals?" she asked, turning to communications specialist Mila. The slender Voidborn shook her head, the bioluminescent patterns across her translucent skin pulsing with anxiety. "Nothing on standard coalition frequencies, Captain. We're too far from established routes." Science Officer Kreth, the only Talaxian aboard, looked up from his console. "Captain, we should consider using the emergency beacon, the one that broadcasts on all frequencies." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The emergency beacon was a last resort. It would broadcast their distress call on every known frequency in the galaxy, including those used by species outside the coalition of aligned worlds. There was no telling who might answer such a call. The hostiles could return at any moment. First Officer Lin pointed out, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. "We barely escaped the first attack." Nerith stared at the view screen, which showed the vast emptiness surrounding them. Their attackers, massive organic ships that seemed to move through space like predatory fish through water, had appeared without warning. 3 crew members were dead, and the celestial wanderer had only escaped by executing a desperate blind jump that had further damaged their engines. "We're out of options," she finally declared. "Activate the emergency beacon. Broadcast on all frequencies." As Mila's fingers danced across her console, Neera added, "Include the old human emergency channels as well." Several crew members exchanged worried glances. Humans were relatively new to the galactic community, having joined the coalition only 14 standard cycles ago. Most species gave them a wide berth, and with good reason. Earth was classified as a death world, a planet so hostile that evolution had forged its dominant species into something that many coalition members found deeply unsettling. "Humans, are you certain, Captain?" Lin asked, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "They're unpredictable. They're also coalition members," Neera replied firmly. "And right now, we need help from anywhere we can get it." The emergency beacon activated with a low hum, sending their desperate plea across the stars. Then there was nothing to do but wait and hope that someone, anyone, would answer before the hostiles returned, or their life support failed completely. 43 light-years away, aboard the Earth fleet vessel UES Thunderbolt, Lieutenant Commander Sophia Hayes was finishing her inspection of the ship's newly installed quantum sensor array when her comm unit chimed. "Commander, your presence is requested on the bridge immediately," came the voice of her XO, Lieutenant Marcus Chen. Hayes frowned. The Thunderbolt was conducting routine patrol operations along the edge of human space. "Nothing ever happened out here." "On my way," she replied, already moving toward the nearest lift tube. When she arrived on the bridge, the atmosphere was tense. Chen gestured toward the communications station, where Ensign Rodriguez was hunched over her console. "We've intercepted a distress signal, Commander," Chen explained. "Non-human origin." Hayes raised an eyebrow. "Coalition?" "Yes, ma'am. A research vessel called the Celestial Wanderer. They're broadcasting on emergency channels, including old Earth frequencies." That was unusual. Most coalition species avoided direct contact with humans when possible. Something about humanity's evolutionary past as persistence hunters on a high-gravity, high-oxygen world with extreme climate variations made other species deeply uncomfortable. "Put it through," Hayes ordered. The distress message played, describing the Celestial Wanderer situation. The attack by unknown entities, their critical systems failure, and their coordinates deep in uncharted space. The message ended with a simple plea. To anyone receiving this signal, we are scientists, not warriors. We have 18 children aboard. Please help us. The bridge was silent when the message ended. Hayes studied the star chart displaying the vessel's position. "That's well outside Coalition jurisdiction," Chen noted. "At least 4 days' travel for any standard Coalition patrol." "And for us?" Hayes asked. "At maximum emergency speed, 26 hours, Rodriguez answered. "But Commander, this isn't our responsibility. Protocol suggests we should forward this to Coalition headquarters and continue our patrol." Hayes drummed her fingers on the console, considering. She knew the regulations, but she also knew that in 26 hours, she and her crew could reach the Celestial Wanderer. The Coalition bureaucracy would take days just to process the request for assistance. "How many souls aboard?" she asked. 57, according to their manifest, Chen replied. "Mostly scientists and their families. Mixed species." Hayes made her decision. "Contact Earth Fleet Command. Inform them we're responding to a Coalition distress call. Request permission to divert from patrol route." "Commander," Chen started, "even if Fleet approves, we're just one ship. If those hostiles return." "Then I want the Artemis Battle Group," Hayes interrupted. "They're conducting exercises at Proxima Station. They can rendezvous with us en route." Chen looked surprised. "A battle group? For a research vessel rescue?" Hayes turned to face her XO fully. "That distress signal mentioned children, Lieutenant, and whatever attacked them might still be out there. I intend to be prepared." Admiral Takahashi's response came through just 20 minutes later. His weathered face appeared on the main view screen, expression solemn. "Commander Hayes, your request to respond to the Coalition distress call is approved. The Artemis Battle Group has been notified and will rendezvous with you at the coordinates I'm transmitting now." Hayes nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Admiral." Takahashi's expression softened slightly. This will be the first time a human fleet has responded directly to a Coalition distress call. The diplomatic implications are significant. "Understood, sir." "These researchers will have likely never encountered humans up close before," Takahashi continued. "Your actions will shape their perception of our species." "We'll remember that, sir." After the transmission ended, Hayes turned to her bridge crew. "Set course for the rendezvous coordinates, maximum speed, and contact Dr. Patel in xenobiology. I want full briefings on all species likely to be aboard a Coalition research vessel." As the Thunderbolt's powerful engines pushed the ship to speeds that would make most Coalition vessels shake apart, Hayes began preparing for the rescue mission. The Celestial Wanderer's crew would be expecting a standard Coalition response vessel, not a human battle group. The culture shock alone might be enough to send them into panic. Back on the Celestial Wanderer, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. A power relay had blown, reducing life support to just 27% capacity. The temperature had dropped significantly, and frost was beginning to form on the inner hull in the less critical sections of the ship. In the central hub, where most of the crew had gathered to conserve heat and oxygen, Captain Nira was doing her best to maintain morale. The children, bundled together in thermal blankets, were being distracted with stories and simple games by the education specialist. "Any response to our beacon?" she asked as communications specialist Mila approached. "Nothing on Coalition channels," Mila replied, her bioluminescence dim with exhaustion. "But there's something strange. We detected a brief signal burst on one of the human frequencies about 6 hours ago." Nira's antennae perked up. "Humans, this far from their territory." "It could be nothing," Mila cautioned. "Just background radiation or sensor ghosts." Our equipment is barely functioning." Before Nera could respond, Chief Engineer Taz rushed into the hub, his expression a mix of excitement and fear. "Captain, long-range sensors just detected multiple ships entering the system." Every conversation in the hub ceased as all eyes turned toward them. "Coalition rescue vessels?" Nera asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Taz shook his head. "No, Captain. The energy signatures don't match any Coalition designs I've ever seen. They're massive, Captain. And fast, impossibly fast." "The hostiles returning?" First Officer Lin asked, his exoskeleton clicking rapidly in alarm. "I don't think so," Taz replied. "These ships are moving in a tight, organized formation, and they're heading directly for us. They'll be here in less than an hour." As if in answer to their questions, the communications console chimed. Mila rushed to it, her fingers dancing across the controls. "We're receiving a transmission," she announced, her voice filled with disbelief. "Audio only." She activated the ship's speakers, and a deep, steady voice filled the central hub. "Coalition vessel Celestial Wanderer, this is Commander Sophia Hayes of Earth Fleet Rapid Response Group Artemis. We have received your distress call and are en route to your position. Estimated arrival in 52 minutes. Please hold position and conserve power. Help is coming. Repeat, help is coming." The message ended, leaving the hub in stunned silence. Then one of the youngest children, a small voidborn barely 6 cycles old, asked the question on everyone's mind. "What are humans?" Nera looked around at her crew, seeing the mix of hope and fear on their faces. Humans. The Deathworlders. The Persistence Predators. The species that had evolved on a planet that had tried to kill them at every turn. And they were coming to help. "They are," she said carefully, "Coalition members. And right now, they are our best hope for survival." As the minutes ticked by, Nera couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to meet these legendary beings who were risking their own safety to save a ship full of aliens they had never met. Perhaps the stories about humans were wrong, or perhaps they were right, but incomplete. Either way, in less than an hour, the crew of the Celestial Wanderer would find out exactly what happened when humans answered a call for help. Deathworld salvation. The waiting was excruciating. Captain Nera paced the central hub of the Celestial Wanderer, checking the chronometer every few minutes. The human fleet was now just 15 minutes away according to their last transmission. Her crew huddled together, sharing what little warmth remained as the life support systems continued their gradual decline. "Captain," Chief Engineer Taz called from his makeshift workstation. "You should see this." Nera moved to his side, where a flickering holographic display showed the approaching human vessels. "By the ancestral stars," she whispered. 5 ships moved in perfect formation, cutting through space at speeds that Coalition vessels could never achieve. The lead ship, identified as the UES Thunderbolt, was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Celestial Wanderer. The other 4 ships positioned themselves in a protective pattern that even Nera, with her limited military knowledge, recognized as a combat formation. "They've sent a war fleet," First Officer Lin observed, mandibles clicking rapidly. "For a simple rescue mission. The humans don't know what attacked us," Nera replied. "They're being cautious." Or perhaps, she thought but didn't say, this was standard procedure for humans. The stories about their militaristic nature might have some truth to them after all. "They're hailing us again," Communications Specialist Mila announced. The view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the human vessel. For the first time, the crew of the Celestial Wanderer laid eyes on the species they had called for help. Commander Sophia Hayes stood at the center of her bridge, her posture straight and confident. Her skin was a deep brown, her dark hair pulled back tightly in what Nera recognized as a military style. What struck the Silosian captain most were the human's eyes. Alert, intelligent, and unexpectedly compassionate. "Captain Nera Vashar," Hayes said, pronouncing the alien name with careful respect. I'm Commander Sophia Hayes of Earth Fleet. We're preparing to dock with your vessel in approximately 12 minutes. We've brought emergency repair kits, medical supplies, and portable life support systems. Nera blinked all four of her eyes in surprise. You have equipment compatible with our systems. A slight smile crossed Hayes' face. We've been Coalition members for 14 years, Captain. We've studied extensively during that time. Of course, Nera thought. Humans were known for their curiosity and quick adaptation. Still, most Coalition species maintained their distance from humans, which made their technical knowledge all the more impressive. Commander, we are grateful for your assistance, Nera said. But I should warn you, our sensors detected unusual energy signatures about 3 hours ago. Whatever attacked us may be returning. Hayes' expression hardened slightly. We're aware. Our long-range scanners identified multiple unidentified vessels approaching your position. They're approximately 2 hours behind us. She leaned forward. Don't worry about the hostiles, Captain. Focus on keeping your crew alive until we arrive. The transmission ended, leaving Nera with mixed feelings. The human had shown genuine concern for the Wanderer's crew, but there was something unsettling about the cold certainty in Hayes' voice when mentioning the approaching threat. Humans had a reputation as formidable warriors. It seemed they might soon demonstrate why. Exactly when promised, the human fleet arrived in perfect formation. The massive ships took defensive positions around the damaged research vessel, their weapon systems humming with ready power that even the Wanderer's failing sensors could detect. They're dispatching shuttles, Taz reported, his voice colored with both excitement and nervousness. 5 of them, heading for our main docking bay. Nera straightened her uniform as best she could and made her way to greet the humans. She brought along Chief Medical Officer Jeltz, whose translucent tentacles quivered with anticipation, and Chief Engineer Taz, whose technical expertise would be essential for coordinating repairs. The docking bay doors opened to reveal a team of humans in dark blue uniforms. They wore minimal environmental protection, just small breathing filters, rather than the full containment suits most Coalition species required when boarding alien vessels. A tall human with copper-colored skin stepped forward. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen, first officer of the UES Thunderbolt. He introduced himself with a formal nod. We've brought emergency supplies and repair equipment. Behind him, other humans were already unloading crates from the shuttle, moving with an efficiency that Nera found almost hypnotic. The gravity on the Celestial Wanderer was calibrated for the comfort of its mixed-species crew, significantly lower than Earth's natural gravity. Yet the humans moved as if they were barely affected, their stronger muscles making heavy equipment look weightless. This way to the central hub, Nera said, trying to mask her nervousness. Most of our crew was gathered there. As they walked through the darkened corridors, she noticed how the humans seemed unbothered by the cold that had her own people shivering. One human was carrying a portable heat generator with one hand, equipment that would normally require 2 Tylosians to lift. When they reached the central hub, the reaction from the Wanderer's crew was immediate. Some backed away from the humans, while others stared in open curiosity. The children, however, showed none of the adults' hesitation. A young void-born girl approached one of the human medics, her bioluminescent patterns glowing with wonder. "You're warm," she said, reaching out a small hand toward the human. The medic, a woman with pale skin and hair the color of fire, smiled gently and knelt to the child's level. "I'm Dr. Eliza Patel. And yes, humans run a bit hotter than most species. It's because our homeworld is colder than what most Coalition members are used to." Within minutes, the humans had set up portable heating units and were distributing thermal blankets. Dr. Patel and her medical team moved among the crew, treating injuries and providing nutrient supplements. Engineer teams worked with Taz to stabilize the failing life support systems, installing power converters that seemed impossibly advanced. "These converters," Taz said excitedly to one of the human engineers, "they're compatible with our systems, but much more efficient than anything I've seen before." Standard Earth Fleet Emergency Kit, The human replied with a casual shrug. We've adapted them to work with most coalition technology. Lieutenant Commander Chen approached Nira while his team worked. Commander Hayes requests your presence on the Thunderbolt to discuss evacuation plans. Our engineers can stabilize your life support, but this ship isn't going anywhere without major repairs. Nira hesitated. Board a human vessel? The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Few non-humans had ever been aboard a human military ship. I would be honored, she finally said. The shuttle ride to the Thunderbolt was short but eye-opening. Through the viewport, Nira could see the human ships in formation, looking both elegant and menacing with their sleek, dark hulls and powerful weapon arrays. The Thunderbolt itself was a marvel of engineering, a perfect blend of strength and functionality that reflected its creator's evolutionary history. When they docked, Nira was surprised to find Commander Hayes waiting personally to greet her. As they walked through the corridors, Hayes explained the modifications they had made to accommodate her. We've adjusted the environmental settings in this section to match your ship's specifications, Hayes said. Gravity, atmosphere, temperature, it should be comfortable for you. You've gone to considerable trouble, Nira observed. Hayes shrugged slightly. It's what anyone would do. But it wasn't what anyone would do, Nira knew. Most coalition species would have sent automated drones or remote assistance rather than risk direct contact with an unknown biological profile. The humans had not only come in person, but had prepared to welcome her aboard their vessel. In the conference room, Hayes outlined the evacuation plan. We can accommodate all 57 of your crew aboard the Thunderbolt. Your injured will receive treatment in our medical bay, which has been equipped with xenobiological protocols. Once everyone is safely aboard, we'll salvage what we can from your ship and escort you to the nearest coalition outpost. It was a generous offer, and Nira was about to express her gratitude when a young human officer rushed into the room. Commander, he said urgently, long-range sensors have detected the unidentified vessels. They've changed course and accelerated. New estimated arrival, 17 minutes. Hayes' expression didn't change, but Nira noticed her posture straighten almost imperceptibly. Understood. Initiate battle stations. Lieutenant Commander Chen, expedite the evacuation. I want every soul off the Wanderer in the next 15 minutes. As alarms sounded throughout the ship, Hayes turned to Nira. Captain, I suggest you remain here where it's safe. We'll handle the hostile contacts. Those hostile contacts destroyed my ship's defenses in seconds, Nira protested. There were 3 of them then. How many are approaching now? 7, Hayes replied calmly. But they've never encountered humans before. The evacuation proceeded with remarkable efficiency. Shuttle teams moved the Wanderer's crew to the Thunderbolt and the other human vessels, prioritizing the children and injured. Nira insisted on remaining on the bridge with Commander Hayes, watching as the human crew prepared for combat with a precision that spoke of extensive training. All civilians secured, Chen reported. Artemis Battle Group reports ready status. Hayes nodded, her eyes on the tactical display where 7 red dots approached rapidly. Bring all weapons online. Deploy countermeasures. Communications, broadcast on all frequencies in every known language. Unidentified vessels, this is Commander Hayes of Earth Fleet. The vessel you previously attacked is under our protection. Any hostile action will be met with maximum response. The message was sent, but the approaching vessel showed no sign of slowing. No response, Commander, the communications officer reported. They're launching what appear to be boarding pods. Intercept with point defense systems, Hayes ordered calmly. Tactical, target their propulsion systems. Warning shots only. The Thunderbolt shuddered slightly as its weapons fired, sending brilliant energy beams across space. The warning shots passed just meters from the lead hostile vessel. For a moment, the approaching ships slowed. Then, as if in unified decision, they accelerated again, weapons powering up. They're not backing down, Chen observed. Hayes' expression hardened. So be it. Battle Group Artemis, engage at will. Protect the civilian vessels at all costs. What followed was unlike anything Nera had ever witnessed. The human ships moved with impossible speed and coordination, their weapons systems unleashing devastating barrages that overwhelmed 3 of the hostile vessels in the first exchange. The remaining attackers attempted to surround the Thunderbolt, only to find themselves caught in a carefully executed crossfire from the other human ships. Their hulls are organic, one of the tactical officers reported. Regenerating after each hit. Hayes nodded. Adjust targeting parameters. Focus fire on the same sections. Don't give them time to regenerate. The battle lasted less than 20 minutes. When it ended, the hostile vessels were either disabled or retreating, their organic hulls scarred and burning. The human fleet had sustained minimal damage, their superior tactics and technology proving decisive. Scan for survivors, Hayes ordered. Prepare boarding teams with full containment protocols. I want to know what we're dealing with. Nera stared at the view screen in awe. You defeated them so easily, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Our finest ships couldn't even scratch their hulls. Hayes turned to her. Not easily, Captain. We were prepared, and we had the advantage of surprise. They didn't expect a Deathworlder response. There was no pride in her voice, only a matter-of-fact acknowledgement of reality. For the first time, Nera truly understood why humans were called Deathworlders. It wasn't just their physical adaptations or their technological prowess. It was their mindset, forged in the crucible of a planet that had shaped them into perfect survivors. 3 days later, the Artemis battle group docked at Coalition Outpost Zeta 9, delivering the rescued crew of the Celestial Wanderer and valuable data about the previously unknown hostile species, now identified as the Voraks, a nomadic predatory race that fed on energy and organic matter. As Nera prepared to disembark, Commander Hayes met her at the airlock. The Coalition Science Directorate has arranged transportation for your crew back to your homeworlds, Hayes informed her. And they've expressed interest in a joint research mission to study the Voraks. Your expertise would be valuable. Nera tilted her head, antennae quivering thoughtfully. Will Earth Fleet be providing escort for this research mission? A small smile crossed Hayes' face. Is that a requirement for your participation? After what I've witnessed, absolutely. They shared a moment of understanding. Then Nera asked the question that had been on her mind since the rescue. Why did you come for us, Commander? Coalition protocol would have directed our distress call through proper channels. It would have been weeks before an official response was authorized. Hayes was quiet for a moment. On Earth, there's an old maritime tradition, she finally said. When someone sends a distress call, you respond. It doesn't matter who they are or where they're from. Out here in the dark, we're all just travelers trying to survive. As Nera stepped onto the Coalition station, she carried with her a new understanding of humanity. Yes, they were Deathworlders, stronger, faster, and more aggressive than most Coalition species. But they were also defined by something else, an instinctive drive to protect, to help, to answer the call when others were in danger. Word of the rescue spread quickly through Coalition space. For the first time, many species began to see humans not as dangerous curiosities to be avoided, but as valuable allies in a galaxy filled with unknown threats. And far away in the darkest regions of uncharted space, the remaining Voraks fled. They had encountered something they had never expected, a species that had evolved on a world more hostile than they could imagine, a species that turned the challenges of their deadly homeworld into strengths, a species that responded to a distress call not with caution or bureaucracy, but with immediate, overwhelming force. They had encountered humans, and they would not forget. In the months that followed, Coalition vessels began to include human emergency frequencies in all their standard communications arrays, because if trouble found you in the cold emptiness between stars, there was no better sound than a human voice saying, "We received your distress call. Help is coming."